Hey everybody, it's Jeff. In this video, I want to bring out 8 of the most interesting coins from the 2021 fund auction. This was a massive auction, run over 4 days with over 2,200 different lots, ranging from all kinds of series and varieties. It was a very interesting auction. Probably the biggest summary, though, is just simply how hot the coin market is. I was watching almost every auction go by, and nearly all of them were selling for over PCGS value, which is considered retail. And obviously, most of them are way above gray sheet. In my opinion, almost all the series were hot. But just to back it up, here's Legend Numismatics, one of the top brokers in the hobby. And they put out a market report every single weekend, and they summarized it best. Or they said, save for copper, nickel, most other areas saw coins realize staggering prices at the fund auction, especially gold. Gold is certainly the hottest series at the moment. Well, let's jump right into it. Again, I mentioned these are the 8 most interesting auctions, in my opinion, not just because they were selling for extremely high values. You can see this is the infamous bronze 1943, supposed to be steel, but obviously a few got by the mint and were produced in bronze. And this was a top pop, Mint State 64 brown. You'll notice the Simpson name here is going to be on a lot of the slabs that I show. Bob Simpson was one of the top all-time collectors in terms of sheer value of his collection. It's unbelievable. Legend Numismatics talks a lot about Bob Simpson. I guess they helped build his collection, and they said this is just a tiny fraction of some of the super rarities that he owns that he's going to be selling over the next few months. This one sold for 840,000. Now, how does that compare? This exact coin actually sold back in 2003, I'm guessing, to Bob Simpson for 212,750. So he's held on to it for about 18 years, and good for him. He sold that for a nice little gain. This is a pop one, so there really are no other comparables. Jump into the Key Day Indian Cent, 1877. This is in a stunning Mint State 65 red, super rare in this grade, in this color. It has the Eagle Eye photo seal, which kind of is kind of like the CAC for Indian cents. This one sold for 54,000. How's that compare? I found this really interesting. Gray sheet bid for a 65 without CAC is 25,000, with a retail 30,000 bid. So this sold for 24,000 over retail. There were 2 other sales in an identical grade just this year in 2020. One being just a month ago, less than a month ago, and sold for 25,000, so half the value. And I looked at that coin, and honestly, they were almost identical. I mean, this is a very nice 65. It's very nice red. It's not necessarily stunning toning or anything like that. I was watching this auction, and honestly, I felt like there were 2 bidders just getting out of hand on this one in particular. Next up is the infamous 3-legged buffalo. Even if you don't collect buffalo nickels, you probably know about this variety. If you notice right here, the front right leg on the buffalo is missing. And of course, Bob Simpson owns one of the nicest versions at a Mint State 66. And this one sold for 52,800. And you compare that, PCGS value at 55. 3 of these in a similar grade have sold in 2020, but as you could see, ranging from 32 to 43. Honestly, I looked at all 3, and there's nothing special about Bob Simpson. Maybe it was the fun show. Maybe it's the irrational exuberance of the coin market at the moment. Maybe it's Bob Simpson's name on the slab. I don't know why this sold for so much. As you can see, gray sheet is well below where it ended up selling at. And then they had a series of hobo nickels. These are, of course, really awesome. Rarely are they slabbed. Almost all of them are raw, as was the case in this heritage auction. These were the 2 highest selling hobo nickels. And as you can see, just awesome designs. I don't know much about the popular engravers for these hobo nickels. I'm assuming these might be, but it's just incredible. I absolutely love hobo nickels. You can see this one sold for an astounding $20,400 for a raw hobo nickel. Almost all of the engraving just happens on the obverse. This was the Indian head that you normally see on the buffalo nickel. The reverse of this is not touched. It's just your generic, very fine at best buffalo nickel. I'm sure a common grade and year as well. And then the infamous 1916D Mercury dime in a stunningly high grade of Mint State 65 full band. Most of the time you see these anywhere from a good 4 up to maybe a VF20. Rarely do you see these in Mint State, let alone full band. You see the reverse, just no doubt about it, full band right through the middle. And then that beautiful D that makes these things so valuable. This one in particular sold for $38,400. Now, how did that compare? This was honestly a bit surprising. Just in 2020, you could see the same grade, 65 full band, sold for anywhere from 44 to 45,000, and has a PCGS value of 45,000. Yet this sold for 38.4. This exact coin actually was in 2 other auctions. In 09, it sold for 38. In 2017, it sold for 36. The toning is certainly a bit bland and I guess reddish dark toning, which might not be the most appealing. Although honestly, the one in November 2020 had unappealing toning as well, and it sold for 44. So this one in particular was particularly weak and maybe a good deal for the buyer of this coin. And then a couple stunning toners. This is the first one, a Proof 68 Plus with a CAC sticker, Barber quarter. And you can see these things are absolutely beautiful. TrueView really brings out the colors of these Proof Barbers, as without the TrueView, when you just take a head-on look, a head-on photo of this, they tend to look a bit dark. This one in particular sold for $27,600, which actually, this exact coin was a Pop 1, of course, sold just in August of the 2020, so about 4 or 5 months ago, for 24,000. So I always find it interesting when somebody who buys a coin flips it within the year and how the market tends to perform. You can go on PCGS CoinFacts and put in this cert number. And you could see if that exact coin had sold previously in auction, which I'm sure a lot of people who buy these level coins look at. And as you could see, it did go up in value just slightly, up to 27.6 versus 24.6. But it makes you wonder why exactly that buyer held it for such a short time. And then another Bob Simpson coin, another Proof 68 Plus with a cam, in this case, Cameo. Just stunning toning. One of a kind, truly. And this sold for $40,800, which isn't much to compare to. This is a Pop 1, none finer, and it has a 33,500 PCGS price guide value. So it's sold well above that. And the only reasonable comparison is actually an NGC Proof 69 Cameo with no CAC sticker, sold for exactly the same amount in August of 2019. So I guess you could say that was perhaps a fair deal for the buyer of this coin. And then one of the infamous rarities is the 1885 trade dollar, Proof trade dollar specifically. There's only one in this grade, which is the one you're looking at, and one finer at PCGS. And this sold for $2.1 million. You could see the TrueView, just a stunning coin. There's just not many that trade. So I was trying to find somewhat of a reasonable comparison to know if this was a good value or not. And there was just one sale about 2 years ago, and this was a Proof 66, so much nicer, but no Cameo. And it had an Eliasberg name on the slab there, which of course is one of the infamous collectors. And that sold for about 3.9 million. So I guess when you move back about 2.5 points on the grading scale, but you gain a Cameo, maybe that's a fair price. Either way, a certain rarity for whoever's lucky enough to buy this coin. And then the last mega coin to sell at the Heritage Auction was this Proof Morgan, Proof 68 Cameo. Again, a Bob Simpson coin. Amazing how much money this guy spent on coins. You could see it sold for $234,000, which there are one other coin in this grade, 2 total, and PCGS had a price guide value of $325,000, but none had ever sold according to PCGS, at least at a public auction. And but actually just this year, October, about 3 months ago, October of 2020, there was a 67 Plus Cameo or with a CAC sticker that sold for $158,000. So I guess this was probably in line when you compare it to where the 67 Plus sold just a few months ago. So that's all I have. I appreciate you watching. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Take care.